puts it into an area. Keogh, Zamora! Unbelievable! From the very brink of elimination, Bobby Zamora has surely scored another playoff winner. Well, can you believe it?
Welcome along to London Calling, brought to you in association with Equate. And as you can see, we've moved sets. We've moved from the Media Suite in South Africa Road down to right on the corner of South Africa Road and Ellerslie Road. Obviously, you can see Ellerslie behind me, sorry, on the corner of the Loft End here at Loftus Road in W12. Fantastic new set, and we've got plenty to look forward to in the Barclays Premier League. Coming up this hour, we're going to be bringing you exclusive interviews with new first-team coach Glenn Hoddle, his first television interview. On top of that, we've also got an exclusive interview with Junior Hoilett, looking ahead to Saturday's game against Hull City. We'll also be hearing from Ars manager Harry Redknapp regarding the future of Loic Remy. Plus, we've got the latest odds coming up as well, and a competition to boot. It's all right here on London Calling, brought to you in association with Equate. I'm delighted to say I've been joined in this lovely new set by Ian Taylor and Brian Melzack, having a tan off in the far side. They're loving these lights, they're tanning up nicely. Brian, firstly, it's been a couple of months now since that goal at Wembley Stadium on May 24th. Have you calmed yourself down? Are you ready for the Barclays Premier League?
I'm ready for the Barclays Premier League. I haven't calmed myself down. I still can't believe it. Every time I see it, I still can't believe that goal. I look at it, I watch it. It's sunk in, but not completely yet. It's just one of those goals that I'll probably watch 100 more times over the next 12 months. I'm sure a lot of the fans will just be looking, you know, you look at the Facebook, you look at Twitter, and every couple of weeks, every couple of days, that goal is being posted again. What a crucial goal it was, and as a result of it, we're sitting here looking forward to Saturday in the Premier League.
Indeed. Ian, you've been a busy man over the last couple of months. Are you all set for Saturday?
Yeah, looking forward to it. A lot of changes had to be made owing to the promotion. A lot of positive changes, and yeah, I think everybody's just counting down the hours now. I'm really looking forward to the big kick-off.
OK, let's give you details, firstly, of the competition to win a signed third kit. That's the white kit by a player of your choice. The question is, what was the exact minute and second the ball hit the back of the net when Bobby Zamora scored against Derby County? We want the minute and the second the ball hit the back of the net. Actually, it's the ball crossed the line, because actually by the time it hit the back of the net, the answer's different. So it's the time the ball crossed the line. Tweeters using #LCI, you can see how I get through my days and what I get up to during the day at Harlington, finding out at what second the ball crossed the line at Wembley when Bobby scored that goal. Also, we want to know what your starting lineup would be. It proved popular during the playoff semi-finals and final, and ultimately it may have helped us get the victories. So we want to know what would be your starting 11. We're going to start with the 3 at the back and the 2 wing-backs. We're going on the assumption of Rob Green in goal. So tweeters using #LCI, who would be your 3 centre-backs? Harry Redknapp has made it known to everyone he's going to go with 3 at the back this season. 3 at the back, 2 wing-backs. Who would make your personnel for those 5 positions? Tweeters now using #LCI. Over the course of the next hour, we'll have London Calling starting 11 for Saturday's game against Hull City. Well, firstly, now we've got through all that. Brian, 4 signings so far. What are your thoughts on them?
I think they're all great signings. Rio coming in is just...
Is that a good signing for you?
Some
people said, oh, his age, where's his hunger? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I've always said, you know, 35, 36 isn't that old anymore. Ryan Giggs has proven that, and so many other players have proven that. If you're fit, if you've got the right attitude, you can play on until you're 39, 40 in the Premier League. I think Rio's relatively fit. He's got the appetite. He's got the hunger. And I know a lot of the time, I know the board were thinking at some time that they didn't want to sign slightly older players, but, you know, with a player like Rio, I think you can sort of take a chance with him, and I think it's one of our best signings. I hope it's going to prove to be one of our best signings. You know, Saturday wasn't the best of games. It was a little run out, but you could just see Rio in his position of what he's going to be capable of actually doing, hopefully, for the next 38 games, isn't it?
38 games in the Barclays Premier League. Ian, one of the points the board made is we've learned our lesson, we've changed. And I think some people took that to mean we will only sign young players, but it isn't purely about the age of the player, it's about the attitude and character and hunger of the player.
Yeah, and a mixture of youth and experience as well, I think. I mean, if you look at the 4 players that arrived so far, you know, for every Rio Ferdinand, there's a Stephen Corker. And I think the one sign I'm really excited about is Jordan Much. Arrives with having been obviously relegated with Cardiff, same as Stephen, but showed real potential during his first full season in the Premier League. 7 goals, I think 5 assists. So he's got great potential. And Maurizio Isla, everybody I speak to about him, a lot of journalists that I hold in extremely high regard say that for that position he's certainly one of the best in world football. So really looking forward to seeing him at right wing back.
You spoke with Rory Smith at the Times regarding the signing of Isla, someone who knows his European football very well, and he spoke very highly of him. Yeah,
he said that he was shocked that Manchester United are obviously going to play that system, 3-5-2 that Van Gaal used with Holland and is now looking to implement at Old Trafford. He said he was shocked that they didn't come in for him. He said that he was a little bit surprised that a number of other clubs didn't come in for him, because not only can he play wing back, and he is a specialist right wing back, but he can also play in central midfield. And he said he was very surprised when it became known that Juve were making him available for a loan transfer, that nobody else came into him. So it's certainly very promising, although the ball hasn't been kicked yet.
Brian, 2 years ago when we were getting ready for Swansea here at Loftus Road on the opening day, there was a wave of excitement and optimism, and the feeling was that we'd got through that difficult first season by surviving on the last day. Now watch us grow, now watch us progress. And going into that opening game, there was that feeling of belief and enthusiasm. We ended up losing 5-0. We lost 4-0 to Bolton the year before. We lost 5-0 on the opening day 2 years ago, which is just a reminder that the Premier League is a very tough division, and it does seem that the feeling around the place and amongst the supporters isn't about mid-table, it's about 17th, get to 40 points. That's what this season is about. There's definitely a different approach from everyone, it seems, going into this return to the Premier League.
Well, when we got the fixture list came out, you know, I was a little upset that we actually got Hull City as a first game, because no disrespect to Hull City, but when we got Bolton and Swansea, we were a little complacent and we thought it was going to be a bit of a walkover. And
it was, just not for us.
Yes, absolutely right. Yeah, it was a walkover for both of them. And I'm just wondering. I mean, I think we've got a different team now. We've got a different attitude. I mean, the whole backroom staff is totally different. And I'm just hoping that we go out with the attitude that it's not going to be a walkover, and we've got to actually go out and play some football.
Just on that, you don't. We're at the training ground. We're fortunate enough to be there. You don't sense that there's any kind of complacency. Everybody seems to be, you know, treating each and every game like it's, you know, the next toughest game going in the Premier League, because they're all so tough. But you don't sense any complacency.
Well, Burnley have got Chelsea, haven't they? First,
yeah.
That's what I mean.
Monday night.
Yeah, I mean. Is that the sort of... and I was thinking, do we want to have a Chelsea or a Liverpool in the first game of the season, or are we better off with a Hull City? You know, Steve Bruce knows what he's doing.
No, he's done a great job.
Yeah, he's done a great job there. So a little concerned, not the happiest of starting fixtures from my standpoint.
You're so negative.
Am I?
Brian, you mentioned that it's a very different team to 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it's seamless, isn't it? I mean, how different is it to 2 years ago? I mean, let's have a look, shall we? Let's see just how different. Look at that, Brian! The graphics department, which is David Scriven, has been working overtime here. Right, from 2 years ago, that's the starting 11 that faced Swansea in a game we ultimately lost 5-0. Rob Green in goal. The back four was Fabio and Clint Hill at full-back, Nedimanu and Anton Ferdinand at centre-back. Midfield, Ji-Sung Park and Samba Diakite in the middle, with Hoilett on the left wing, Jamie Mackie on the right wing. Up front, Djibril Cissé with Adel Tarab playing just off him. Now the team for this Saturday, ultimately, who knows? A predicted team, a guest lineup, if you like. Rob Green in goal, potentially a back three of Kulka, Rio Ferdinand and Nedimanu. Wing-backs, Isla and Traore. Of course, could be Simpson, could be Yoon. But Isla and Traore potentially in the midfield, holding Joey Barton and Ali Fowling, possibly with, you could have Hoilett in the hole, you could have Jordan Much, and then potentially Loic Remy and Charlie Austin up top. How does that team compare this time to the team of 2 years ago?
We'll know at 5 o'clock on Saturday.
I was just going to say that, you know.
But on paper, they don't compare, do they?
You think his team is far stronger?
Oh, yeah, by a mile.
Probably a better organised team as well.
Yeah, no disrespect,
Yeah.
but you know, certainly the work that's gone on in pre-season, especially obviously in the last 24 hours, Glenn Hoddle.
And also,
well.
if we can see that graphic just again, if you look at the players that we've got coming in, we've put in all the new signings for that graphic. We've put in Isla, Corker, Jordan Much, and and Rio Ferdinand. So we've put in all 4 there. So you've got 7 players who have been through it, Loic Remy aside. Whereas you look at from 2 years ago, there's a lot of new faces, a lot of players making their debuts, a lot of players who've never played before. So it's a stronger unit as well. And you look at that team that's going into this season, they know what they went through in order to get this opportunity to play in the Premier League, and that possibly could hold us in good stead.
I'm hoping so. You know, you look back at the 2012, 2013, 2014, and I think those are the sort of the period that we really want to put out of our mind and really just look forward. And I think Harry's, you know, what I like about Harry and the team is that they're not going out panic buying. They're taking their time. They're bringing in players as and when we need them. You know, you get that. I think last time we were a little bit panicky. I'm hoping we're not going to be panicky in the last 3-4 days of this transfer window. But I think they know who they're looking for. They know what they want. And if they keep their level headed and bring in the right players, you know, we're not going to be the same way as we were. We brought in such big names, and we thought on paper they were going to be absolutely outstanding. Didn't prove to be the case. And I say we had a very hard lesson, and I think that lesson's learned, and we're back where we believe we should be, and we're going to prove everybody wrong.
Let's hope so. Remember to tweet us your 3 centre-backs and your 2 wing-backs for our topic of debate this week. Tweet us using #LCI. We want to know your starting 11. So who would be your 3 at the back and your 2 wing-backs for Saturday's game against Hull City here at Loftus Road? Also, we've got the competition to win a signed QPR 3rd kit, which is the white shirt, signed by a player of your choice. Tweet us using #LCI. What was the exact minute and second the ball hit the back of the net when Bobby Zamora scored against Derby County? A lot has been made of this new formation, Ian, with the 3 at the back that Harry has said throughout pre-season, and he's used throughout pre-season, said he's going to implement for the coming campaign. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, interestingly, everybody's saying that we're going to use it, you know, regardless of the way the games are panning out. He did actually say, didn't he, in today's press conference, everybody's harping on about the reason we bought in Glenn is because of 3-5-2. But then he was very quick to say that that's not the case. There will be instances where we go 4-4-2, where we go 4-3-3 perhaps. I was surprised at first when I did hear that Harry was keen to play 3-5-2, but you look at the personnel he's brought in, you look at the personnel we've already got, and it actually does make a lot of sense. Some people might say, well, defensively will be very sound, but where are the goals going to come from? But essentially you've got Austin and Remy up front on Saturday, and maybe a Hoilett or a Much playing in behind who have scored goals at Premier League level. So I'm excited about it, I am. And I think it certainly suits Rio Ferdinand. I think it suits Corker as well. Isla, Traore, they speak for themselves, both wing-backs by trade. And then the other players are good footballers can fit into systems, can't they? So I don't see any reason why 3-5-2 won't suit us this year.
OK, and Rob Green also made the point on pre-season when he was doing the commentary of the game against Athlone Town that if there's a situation where the opposition only have 1 striker, it will free one of our centre-backs to push into the midfield as well.
You saw it with Stephen Corker, didn't you? And I know it was only, I think it was against Athlone Town, but he came up with a couple of assists in that game, and I think Harry will look for one of those players. Rio's obviously, his whole career has been about bringing the ball out from defence and spraying the ball. Corker can do that certainly, and then maybe you're looking at Dunn, Hill, or Anu, whoever's going to feature. We'll just hold back, and then it almost becomes a 2 at the back when you are only marking 1 striker. So yeah, there's flexibility within the system for sure. OK,
Glenn Hoddle was brought in earlier this week, and we caught up with him at Harlington today. Interestingly, he was actually at Harlington on Tuesday to meet the players. That was the first time he met them. He watched training but wasn't actively involved in it. Today was the first day he was actively involved in training, and we spoke to him afterwards to get his thoughts on being back in football. Glenn, welcome to Queen's Park Rangers. You've already got a sore throat after your first training session, a bit out of practice.
Yeah, it's been a while. The throat seems to have gone when you're out there coaching and you're demanding things from the players. Obviously, it's new to the throat. It doesn't know what's hit it at the moment. But no, it was good to get out. And I've only been here second day, so need to get familiar with the players and with the staff. And it's I really appreciate what Harry's done. Give me a chance to come back into coaching.
You were here on Tuesday when you met the squad, but today, Thursday, was your first real opportunity to work with them. What's your early assessment?
Yeah, I think they're a winning bunch of guys. They really are, and I think that spirit and that team ethic needs to be there if we're going to achieve what we need to achieve this year. They're thirsty for knowledge, and with Joe, Kevin, myself, and Harry, we've got a vast experience there, and I think we're going to need that experience to call upon during a long, hard season. It's going to be tough, we know that, but it's a challenge, and that's how we've got to look at it, a really positive challenge to, I wouldn't say survive, that's the wrong word, but to accomplish ourselves in the Premier League. And if everyone pulls together, and we work hard, and we're honest with each other, I'm sure we can do that.
8 years since you last worked at a football club. What enticed you back?
Well, I don't know really. I've got to say, Harry was very influential on that. He's really good at that job, isn't he? But I don't know. There were certain things in my life. Maybe. I mean, I'm very happy with what I've been doing. I have got some commitments. I said to Harry from day one, I was honest and said, look, at this moment in time, I can't commit 110% at the moment because there's too many things that I've got on board. So, if that's not for you, fine. He was fine with that. He said, Glenn, if you can come in 2-3 times a week, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, let me think about it. And then, I thought, well, I've been out a long time. A lot of people keep saying you should be back in it, you should be back in it. And I've been buzzed up about it. I've got to say, it's been really good for me. I think I'm enjoying around the team. Obviously, you're going to have bad results. You're going to have to respond to that. But we need to work hard, everyone together. And if we do that, we can achieve things.
And these are familiar surroundings for yourself. Yeah,
it's ironic, isn't it, our life? It come back round again, didn't you? Arlington was when I came from Swindon to Chelsea, and my word, what a difference! I mean, it might not be the Arsenal training ground and the Chelsea training ground, but compared to when I was here first, wow, this is completely different. So, I saw it at its very barest in many ways, but it's improved, and there's a lot of work been done by the club, obviously, to make it more cosy, more correct, more professional, and I think that's credit to the club, so it's unrecognisable from when I was there.
How will you be working with the players, and what will you be working on? A lot has been made of you being a fan of the new formation that's been brought in, but that's not why you're here.
No, listen, Harry wants to play whatever. Harry's the manager. As coaches, we'll respond and we'll work with the players as he wants us to work with them, and with the knowledge that we've all got. It's not black and white football, there's games when I'm sure we'll change the system if you've got the right players working it well, fine. I love the system. I've played it with England, I've played it with Chelsea and Swindon, so that's not a problem. But there's other shapes that I've played with Southampton and Tottenham that we did differently, so it's great. That's what you want that flexibility. I think it's a little bit cliche at the moment that we're going to play this certain way. We might surprise people Saturday, we might come up with a different system, but I'm sure during the season, when you're playing against the top teams in the Premier League, you have to play to your strengths. It's hard enough playing against them with the really top quality that they've got, so I'm sure there's adjustments that will be made, but if we can get it going and cause people problems and play what I call the right way for players to enjoy themselves. Players are enjoying themselves when they're winning football matches, and they're enjoying themselves when they've got the ball, mainly. It's hard work when you're chasing it. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I think that's Harry's certainly his philosophy, what he said to the players through pre-season and the chats that we've had with the staff. So, onwards and upwards.
Okay, and very finally, survival, you say, shouldn't be the aim.
I don't like the word survival. I think it's got to be, we've got to find ourselves, accomplish ourselves in the Premier League. And if it ends up, survival only comes round if it's the last 3 or 4 games and you're having to survive. You want to be in the front foot and you want to try and put yourself in a position, but it will be hard. I'm not saying, I think we all know that it's going to be a challenge, and I think the likes of Rio knows it's going to be a challenge, and that's what he wants in his career. And he's a talisman for the group. Great attitude, great example for any of the youngsters around him. A lot of people that want to put a lot of hard work in, and if they want to work hard, I'm there certainly as a coach to try and improve them.
Glenn Hoddle, very hands-on in training. Interesting to see Steve Black in the background stood alongside Harry Redknapp, as well as preparations continue for Saturday's game here against Hull City. And interestingly as well, he said we shouldn't be saying the aim is survival. If with 4 or 5 games to go, that's the situation, then survival is the aim. But going into the start of the season, we shouldn't be viewing it like that. Good to hear.
Yeah, I agree with him.
Yeah, he said it's not survival, or the word survival shouldn't even be used unless you're in a survival situation where your points, tally up with exactly what you need to get yourself out of a survival situation.
Yeah. And that doesn't happen until pretty well into the season.
Yeah.
So the idea is to go in and not look, look to survival, but you actually want to go and create a situation where you're further up the league, and survival isn't the word we look at.
Pleased with the appointment of Glenn Hoddle?
Oh, I think it could prove to be one of the best signings. Steve McLaren at the beginning of last season was one of our better signings, and I think Glenn Hoddle equally is as good. Big name in football, a wonderful player, a legend in football. I remember seeing him play here in the Gavin Peacock testimonial, and he was just classes above everyone else. It was a friendly, but he was just quality. And if he can, transfer that quality onto the training field, and the players pick that up, I think it's going to be just great. It's going to be exciting.
Well, we'll be hearing from Junior Hoilett later on in the show. He also talks about Glenn Hoddle, the player on the training pitch. So that's all to come. Also, another interesting appointment that got made over the summer was Steve Black coming in a consultancy role for the season. Obviously, he came in at the back end of last season and had a huge impact on the club and on the players. And he's now been brought in a consultancy role throughout the upcoming campaign. And that's a key signing as well behind the scenes. Yeah,
I think so. If you speak to Charlie Austin, did an interview today, and he said that he felt that Blackie's arrival, I think it was February, March time, wasn't it?
It was,
around the time we played Middlesbrough. He said that he thought that was, the key to us going up last year. Just brought everybody together, the We Are Together hashtag that went almost global, really. A key appointment, and we saw firsthand yesterday. We had a staff meeting with Steve yesterday, and I think everybody came out of that meeting feeling 10 feet tall. So yeah, he's going to have a huge impact again. And the key thing for me that he said was that no matter what the result is on a Saturday or a Sunday, come Monday morning, it's all about the next one. You shouldn't be able to tell in a player's look, personality, feel on a Monday morning whether they won, lost or drew, because it should all be about the next game. OK, we've also got coming up, as I say, Junior Hoilett exclusive interview. We're hearing from Harry Redknapp shortly as well regarding the future of Loic Remy. And we've got all the details for your back three and your 2 wing backs. And I believe a decision has been made by the London Calling masses. Yeah, it's quite overwhelming actually. Obviously, Rob Green in goal we picked before the start. 3 at the back, Coulter, Ferdinand and Nua. And then Maurizio Isla right wing back and Armand Traore left wing back. OK, and it was close between Danny Simpson and Isla on the right. Yeah, very close between Danny Simpson, who obviously had a great campaign last year, but I think people have just gone for Isla because of his knowledge of that role as such. And also similar with Richard Dunn and Nedum Manua is quite close. Richard Dunn, Nedum Manua and Traore and Yun as well. A couple of people plumbing for Sean Wright Phillips, the left wing back as well. OK, so interesting, cool. And that is interesting because it arguably shows that perhaps the squad isn't as weak beyond the starting 11 as perhaps others have said it is, saying not a bad starting 11 but not much of an underbelly, not a very strong squad to deal with injuries and suspensions, and yet we're talking about the first game of the season and people are struggling to pick who their ideal 3 would be, who their ideal right wing back would be and who their ideal left wing back would be. So we haven't got cover in those positions. Yeah, there's certainly a greater depth to the squad at the minute.
Well, when you come down to this situation and you start to create a squad, you do realise that we have actually got.
And there's still a lot of time left in the window.
Yes, we've got.
So, Ian James, you tease.
Who knows?
OK, let's move on to the holding midfielder. Use hashtag LCI. So we picked our 3 centre backs, we've picked our wing backs. Now tweeters using hashtag LCI, who would be your holding midfield pair for Saturday's game against Hull City? OK, now with regards to Loic Remy, Ian, we'll be hearing from Harry Redknapp shortly, but What is the latest situation regarding his future? It does seem to be there's loads of conflicting stories.
Yeah, I think obviously, unfortunately for Loic, Liverpool's loss is our gain, and he failed a medical. If you believe what the press are saying, I don't think anybody knows the truth about that unless you speak to Loic himself, and that would be for him to say in due course, I think. But he's back. He's been back a week and a half now. He's trained hard. Hasn't missed a session. He's running himself into the ground, and he wants to play. He wants to play for QPR. Who's to say, you know, if a top 4 club, Champions League club, comes in between now and the end of the window, will he stay? Will he go? I don't know. But he's here. He's training hard, and I think he'll probably be out there at 3 o'clock on Saturday for the first game of the season.
Okay, interesting. Harry Redknapp spoke to the nation's media earlier this morning at the Harlington training ground. Inevitably, he was asked about the future of Loic Remy, and here's what he had to say.
We hope Loic will stay. You know, he's a fantastic player, and his attitude since he's been back here has just been absolutely first class. He's trained great, and we're hoping that he'll be here at the start of the season. But you never know. You know, when I look, and I'm not trying to sell him because we don't want to sell him. When I look at the prices, that obviously he must have had a clause, a get-out clause or a buy-out clause. When you look at the prices of strikers at the moment, it's incredible to think that, for me, really, he should be a £20 million striker in comparison to other strikers that are getting sold for £11, £12 million. So to have lost him for the amount that we were going to, it'd have been too cheap, if you like. And to have him back here is fantastic for us. The chairman wants it. I want to keep him. The chairman wants him to stay. You know, we hope that he does stay. Well, you hope that don't happen. Well, at the end of the day, well, I suppose if he's got a buyout clause, there's very little you can do about it, I would imagine. I don't know. But you know, that would be the worst scenario, wouldn't it? You know, I don't think he wouldn't want to do that either to us. He's a good lad, and he's got a good relationship with the chairman. I think if he's with a week to go before the end, you know, the window closes, I think we all need to know where we're going. I don't think he would suddenly walk away a day before. I think he's too decent a guy to do that.
Harry Redknapp speaking earlier today, and Brian, that is the difficulty with the release clause that is well documented that's in Loic's contract. There is always that danger that a bid could come in and the club are powerless to do anything about it.
Well, it's 11 o'clock on the 31st of August, isn't it? That's when the deadline stops.
2nd of September.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, Monday night.
Well, we want the 2nd of September to roll on because we really don't want him going. You know, he could score, you know, if he's on form, we could see at least 14, 16 goals out of him this season.
I think it's clear that he will only move on, no disrespect to, I'm not going to name a team because that would be disrespectful.
Go on,
but no disrespect to a mid-table side. He wants to play in the Champions League.
Yes, so he's going to want to be
so
top
it's going
four,
to need to be a top 4. You could maybe argue a 5th or a 6th place team, but he does want to be playing European football, so he isn't going to move to
another team,
a mid-table.
League. So that you would have thought is the only risk, if you like.
Yeah.
But I say Liverpool is out. Liverpool at the moment are out the scenario, the situation. So we know that's one.
Liverpool are out. Manchester City
are out.
You know, Loic's a great player, but you look at Negredo, Aguero,
we're limiting him already.
We're
limiting it already. Yeah. So. You know, from QPR fan standpoint, you know, that's good news because we need him, we want him.
Arsenal, you look at Arsenal, Giroud, Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah, but you think he's the sort of player that could go and play at Arsenal.
But he'll want to, if he's going to go to a club, he'll want to play games. He proves it by coming back here this week. He could have easily down tools and moaned and sulked. Some players would.
Yeah, but he's desperate to play.
Exactly, and he wants to play.
He wants to play because he wants to be out there on the stage so people see his work.
And also, you can't underestimate that aspect as well. He had a great time when he was here. A couple of years ago, he didn't have a great time. We got relegated, but on a personal note,
but he scored
a lot of goals. He scored a couple of unbelievable goals. Almost people forget about that goal against Wigan because we conceded the late free kick, and it was a devastating blow.
Still, that's the best goal I've seen there.
Yeah, incredible. And the QPR fans took to him. He took to the QPR fans. And if he goes out there on Saturday and plays well and the place is rocking, it can only do QPR a favour in terms of hoping to keep him.
Yeah, albeit we hope he doesn't play too well because then other clubs might come in.
Start playing well.
No, I get your point. And the Rangers fans, I'm sure they will be singing his name from minute 1 to minute 90 on I
They'll
can't
be
even
doing
remember.
their
What's
bit.
the Remy song? I can't even remember what the Remy song is.
Is
It
there?
Remy?
Yes, there it is.
Yeah,
Nailed
might
it,
need some
haven't
work on it. But yeah, I think they will. They'll get right behind him because that's what our fans do.
They're like that.
You know,
Look, we were like that when Joey came back. We were
Exactly.
right behind him from the off.
And now, like you say, that could have an impact.
Yeah.
He might feel, I'm sure he feels loved here already. His
Yeah.
teammates love him, and he's got, the respect of the dressing room. They know what a good player he is. And if the fans can, just give him that little bit more, little bit of edge, that little bit more love, it could be a telling factor.
Okay, so if he doesn't stay, it's your fault, everyone.
Sing your hearts out.
Are you happy with the squad, Brian? Do we need a couple more
It's
additions?
interesting, actually, just before you,
Okay.
a couple of people have said, still think our midfield lacks, this is Paul Gibbons, still think our midfield lacks pace and power, real threat of being overrun on Saturday. That's something that he feels needs to be addressed quickly. Would you
Well, I
agree
think we
with
need a
that?
number 10.
Barton
We
and
need
Farrell?
we need a number 10.
Do you want
dedicated.
much can potentially play that role?
Possibly, but
Adele Taarabt?
well, we need. Well, I was talking out to Andy Evans actually before I came in, and we were talking about that. And we
CEO
need
of the Trust.
Yeah, of the Trust. Yes, looking very relaxed tonight as well. We were just saying that we need an Adele Taarabt type of player in that number 10 position. And
I mean, Jordan Much last year at Cardiff did play wide, but can break from those areas, so he's a potential. But especially if you are going to be playing Remy and Austin, you need someone who can do that slide rule pass.
absolutely, yeah. And so I think obviously, hopefully, they're looking for someone that we can bring in that can fill that space. But not every player can play that type of football.
You look at people saying about pace in the middle of the midfield potentially being an issue, but if you look at the pace in the wide areas with Traore and Isla, and I saw Isla in training this morning in those awful rascal pink boots, but boy can he move. He is quick. He's lightning quick, and
He's going to terrorise
and
us,
Armand
yes,
Traore as well. So you need discipline in that central midfield area. But if you can, I mean, Much is quick. Hoilett could potentially just play off the strikers as well. He's quick. Matt Phillips. So there are options, but I think a lot of people are saying one more midfielder, whether it's a 10 or a deep lying one.
Yeah,
would
but
be.
that's what we're missing. And
But we've been linked to them, haven't we? So
no, that's
let's
it.
see.
But
Let's see.
what we've been linked to until it actually happens, it's
And
a long way off.
do you if Remy stays, are you happy with the 3 strikers? Do you feel we need more?
It's down to injuries, isn't it? That's the problem you've got. We saw what happened with Charlie last season, and he was out for quite a few months. And injuries are one of those unpredictables that happen.
Yeah, we're very unlucky in that area. Well, obviously, Andy Johnson had injury problems, Bobby Zamora
Zamora.
had injury problems, and then Charlie Austin was out for 10 weeks.
So I
as
think
well.
we probably do need possibly another backup striker.
One more striker.
Just so that Harry has the opportunity to sort of rotate if necessary. If they get a little twinge one week, you can rest them the next week, but no, you've got a good backup.
Let's not forget we've got the loan window as well. We've got that option between now and the end of this window, but there is the option of bringing players in on loan, so that might be something that Harry looks at.
Yeah, but we definitely need, I think, another striker.
Stephen Cockrell says Remy got 14 and 26 last season. In a full season, he'd get 20 goals plus.
Well, I was saying, if he could get 14, 16 goals for us, Charlie Austin get 14 or 16 goals for us, as long as they're not in the same game.
Because Harry said in the press conference today, didn't he? He said, gone are the days where you get 40 and 30 in the Premier League.
And it's, Ronaldo or something like that.
Clive Allen, Rodney Marsh, those
Yeah, well,
players.
those days are gone. It's a more scientific game.
15
Andy Cole once got more than 40 in
15 to 20, and
You're doing well.
you're in a great
Yeah.
ballpark figure, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we spoke with Junior Hoilett earlier on at the Harlington training ground, and you talk about the number 10 role. He has been playing in that
And
position
playing well.
behind the front 2. He's played 4 games in pre-season. He scored 3 goals. That's not a bad return.
No, it's a good return against, obviously, Harry Redknapp has said that fairly limited opposition, but of all the players that I think I've seen every game actually, whether it was live or the highlights through fantastic streams.
Yeah, but a goal's a goal, whoever you're playing against.
Free, weren't they?
They were.
Get out!
But he was the one in pre-season who has impressed me most. Him and Stephen Corker I've been very impressed with. So hopefully, if he does play on Saturday, he can take the game by the scruff of his neck. I said when I went on, I shouldn't name it, QPR podcast, the rivals. No, we don't mean that. I went on there at the final pod of last year after we got promoted, and they asked us to predict where we'd finish in the league and who would be our player of the year. And I said Hoilett, because I think it's a big year for him. You look at what he did with Blackburn in the Premier League. I know he had an iffy time since he's arrived here, but certainly in those playoff games, in the playoff final as well, he excelled. And I think it's a big year for Junior Hoilett, I really do.
Yeah, I mean, aside from obviously the role he played in the final, Don't forget the role he played in us winning that penalty to get back into the game against Wigan as well.
And he was very good away from home as well, Wigan, in the semi-final as well, when a lot of people probably wouldn't have picked him. But Harry did.
But he gives 100%. I know it sounds a little cliche, but he does give 100%.
I think when he's fully fit,
that's the other problem. He does suffer from injury quite regularly, and
when he's fully fit, he's a good player.
No, that's
really
right. So if you do play him, as we were saying, you were just indicating maybe as a number 10 in a way. You couldn't always rely on that. You'd need someone to come in if he's going to sustain injuries continually.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, well, as I was saying, we caught up with Junior Hoilett down at the Harlington training ground earlier today after that first session that Glenn Hoddle was involved in, and here's what he had to say. Junior, it's now almost time. It's been a couple of months since that date at Wembley. Have you forgotten all about that now and focused on the new season, or do you still go to your Sky Plus box and have a look?
Sometimes it just happens to pop up on my YouTube sometimes, so I'm joking. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the upcoming season. We still have a strong squad going into Saturday's game. We worked prepared to do it throughout all the preseason, and we're looking strong going into this week's game.
And a new addition this week, Glenn Hoddle joining the coaching team. He's just actually taken his very first training session. What are your early impressions?
That was great. He's great. He gave me a few pointers that will help me on my game and help me on the pitch on Saturday. Some very key feedback, and he's just looking to improve the squad. And you can see he has the experience and he knows the game.
And not a bad player as well.
You can see it by today. Traded his touch was on point. But yeah, of course, he's been there, he's done that, and it's a great add to the coaching staff and help the team and help players individually to become better players and a better team.
And the new formation, it seems to suit you perfectly, playing in the hole just behind the front two. Enjoying it?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. You can see in the pre-season matches I got a few goals under my belt, and I feel comfortable, I feel fit, and I'm looking to do the best for the team.
Is that one of your targets, to add goals to your game?
Of course, every attacking player wants to score as much goals as possible, and I'd like to get as much goals as I can.
Moving on from the banging on the windows from your teammates, looking ahead to Saturday, how important is it that we get off to a good start? The last two seasons in the Premier League for QPR weren't great.
Of course, to get off with 3 points would be terrific for confidence for the team, and push us forward into the upcoming games. You can see the following seasons in the Prem start off with slow, and if we start off with getting quick points as much as possible, we'll feel comfortable and confident going into each and every game.
And just finally, your last competitive fixture at Loftus Road was that game against Wigan, where the atmosphere was incredible. It'd be nice if QPR fans could try to recreate that for Saturday.
Yeah, of course, the atmosphere at Wigan was terrific. It helped us when we was down 1-0 to push on and get the goals to bring us into the finals, and if the fans are like that every game, I think at home we'll be fine.
Junior Hoilett there saying that his role playing in behind the front two suits him perfectly. Just before we speak more about Junior, on the back of that we want to know who you would have playing behind the front two. But firstly, the two holding midfielders have been selected by the London Calling viewers.
Yeah, a number of mentions for Carl Henry, Jordan Much in that position, but just about Joey was in everybody's pick, I must say, but Joey and Ali.
Joey Barton and Ali Fowling, they've been playing regularly throughout pre-season in that role, playing as the two holding central midfielders. So what we want to know now is who would you have playing behind the front two? So tweet us using the hashtag LCI, who would you have playing behind the front two strikers, and we'll have that team at the end. Who plays behind the front two? Tweet us using hashtag LCI, and don't forget our competition to win a white QPR shirt. It's a QPR third kit signed by a player of your choice. All we need to know, what was the exact minute and second the ball hit the back of the net when Zamora scored against Derby. Again, tweet us using hashtag LCI. Speaking about Junior Hoilett, we'll have a look through the goals that have been scored over the pre-season campaign, and he's featured prominently. As I was saying, he scored 3 and 4. Charlie Austin actually got 5 and 6, so he's been fairly prolific. The opening three, we'll just have a look here. Our fourth goal was a textbook Charlie Austin header against Shamrock Rovers in a 4-0 win there.
That was the one that Stephen Corker assisted with, wasn't it, as well, down the right side?
Joey Barton free kick zipping into the back. And look at that, Corker standing up for Bobby Zamora against Athlone Town.
Not sure about the defending there, Moss.
No, not the greatest. Junior Hoilett is yeah, and this is interesting that because playing with the two up front, they were able to use Bobby Zamora to play in.
Yeah, that was a nice team goal actually.
Yeah.
Really well worked goal again. You know, against limited opposition. And will they get the space to do that in the Premier League? Probably not. But I think we were scoring goals. We weren't conceding many during pre-season. So I think Saturday wasn't great, was it? But it's almost like a dress.
Yeah, but it was just a run out.
Dress rehearsal.
But the players don't want to get injured, do they?
No.
Let's be quite honest. A week before the Premier League, it's just
we
a
go
run out.
hammer and tongs on
That's right.
Saturday.
It's not necessary, and they kept their fitness. That's really what it was all about. And great goal by Clint.
Harry Redknapp said this week that after the PAOK game that pre-season hasn't really been great. I don't think in terms of the opposition, in terms of the results as well, although ultimately they're not greatly important. But what is important is the amount of 90 minutes players have got under their belts. There have been a lot of occasions with Charlie Austin, Junior Hoilett, a lot of the, if you like, the players you expect to start, a lot of them have got 2 or 3 90 minutes under their belt already. Yeah,
and I think that's going to be key. I mean, nobody knows until the game gets underway behind us on Saturday how things are going to pan out, do they? But I think there is a confidence amongst the squad for certain. And like you say, players have got some important minutes under their belt. I guess the only exception to that would be Loic Remy. But he's naturally a fairly fit boy.
And he's been training well. It's just again the match fitness is slightly different.
And it might be, if Harry does go with 2 up front, it might be that he starts with Austin and Remy, and then if the game is going well and Remy needs to come off and have a breather, then he brings in on either Bobby Zamora or a central midfielder that he can drop back in as a more defensive midfield 3, and then somebody in the hole behind Charlie. I don't know, but
what is good,
there's options.
What is good though is Charlie's with us at the beginning of the season. If you remember when he joined us, it took several games for him to start scoring. At least he's had the pre-season where he's been able to score a few goals, so he knows who he's playing with. He hasn't got that learning curve he's got to have with the players, so he can go straight out and play the game as he knows he can play it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that absolutely could be key as well, couldn't it? You look at our first 4 games: Hull, Tottenham, Sunderland and Manchester United. It could have been...
Or as you referred to them in the script,
Hill. Yeah, moving on. That's purely for our eyes.
Okay. Yeah, tough. 2 home games that, if you were to pick games that you want to have at home early on, that probably would be, no disrespect to either of those two, but despite what Brian said earlier, for me, I think you really wouldn't want a United at home or a Chelsea or a Liverpool early on, because that really could shatter your confidence if you do take a beating from one of the big guns. But Spurs, Man United away, I mean, both got new managers. Is it a good time to go to their places and hopefully keep them quiet and then nick one? I don't know. It's going to be difficult, but they all are. They're all. You look at our start compared to some other starts, and it's fairly favourable, really.
I actually got a text this morning from a member of the Derby County press office saying best of luck for the season, and we spoke about it after the game, since the game, that the way the Derby press lads was incredible. They were obviously all absolutely devastated, and I can't even begin to imagine, but they had absolute class all about them, and also with the way the Derby players stayed out on the pitch with Steve McLaren.
I think it all comes from Steve McLaren.
It just oozed class, didn't it?
Yes, it did. And I text Tom Lopes there, who's my opposite number there on the eve of their first game, and wish them all the best. And we don't want to talk too much about the Championship now, we're not in it, but I think a lot of people would expect them to come.
Well, they are favourites.
Come firing back.
I thought so. Yes. And the reason we're not in it is, of course, because of that goal that Bobby Zamora scored. Now, Brian, I know you are a fine commentator. You've been working in radio for how many years?
Yeah, I've never done commentary, funny enough.
You've never done commentary?
There's always a first.
Until now.
Okay.
Live here on London Calling, you're going to have Brian Melzak's commentary debut. We've heard plenty of commentaries. Personally, for me, Phil Parry's has got to be the best. His commentary was just fantastic. But how would Brian Melzak fare? In a second, we're going to run the Bobby Zamora goal.
You didn't know about this, did you?
Brian Melzak. This is like the best ever challenge, Brian.
Challenge
Brian
Chelsea,
Melzak doing the commentary as live.
Oh, as live?
As live.
Oh, it can't be 3 weeks after watching the rerun.
No, so this is, you're at the game,
Oh, okay.
this is happening, QPR haven't had a shot on target.
But I can't actually say the minutes.
Down to 10. The shot on target,
Yeah.
we're down to 10, we haven't got a hope of winning. And then this happens. Brian, take over.
Well, just minutes to go. The QPR fans jeering on their team. Hoilett bundling through, getting past one. Hoilett concedes the players in the actual penalty area. Richard Keogh trying to clear. There's Zamora! Bobby Zamora in the beep minute, scoring the goal that could be putting Queen's Park Rangers back into the Premier League. It's QPR 1, Derby County 0.
That is absolutely fantastic. Brian Milzak never fails to amaze us with this challenge, Brian. I think you'd all agree that was a great effort. Tweet us using the hashtag LCI. What did you make of Brian Milzak's radio commentary debut? Absolute class, I thought.
For the first time again. I'm excited.
OK, well, because of that goal, we are preparing for life in the Premier League. It's led to a number of changes that have had to occur just around the stadium in terms of the infrastructure. There's a lot going on. Ian, can you update us as to everything that's going on?
Well, this is one. The box we're sat in today is going to be used by BT Sport for their live games.
We've got no telephone lines in here. It's crazy, isn't it?
I know, yeah, but for BT Sport, yeah, you laugh. That's a really good point. So, yeah, they'll be using this. I think Stoke is the first BT Sport game. Man behind the camera nodding, yeah, Stoke, BT Sport. So this is going to be, this is what was box 18 right on the corner flag here, Loftus Road, South Africa Road angle. So this is one new change. You might just be able to pick it up on camera. Just below the gantry there is a TV area, which is going to be for overseas broadcasters.
You can see it there.
Just where Brian's pointing.
I feel like the weatherman at the moment. The cloud will be moving in.
That red area there is a new seating area for overseas commentators and overseas observers.
And that's a Premier League requirement.
Yeah, so unfortunately I know there's a handful of season ticket holders we've had to move out of that area. That's a Premier League requirement. I will say it won't be used every week, but it is a requirement, and for the bigger games it will be absolutely chock-a-block. Various changes to the gantry in terms of what positions we've got to provide there. The media suite has changed. There's a mix zone area which supporters probably won't see because that will come into play after the stadium is clear and the players all have to walk past that as a Premier League rule. Again, for the overseas broadcasters, local, national, international press. So there's a number of changes that do affect the players on a match day. The likes of Rio Ferdinand, Corker, much, they'll all be used to it. But for those players that haven't played in the Premier League for 12 months or so, the mix zone will be a new one, and we're going to make sure we grab them kicking and screaming, win, lose or draw, past that mix zone area. Otherwise we'll get a fine, and we don't want to be paying any fines.
And also the actual front of the stadium, there'll be a small change to that in order to accommodate more TV rooms.
Yeah, we've got planning permission through in the last 72 hours or so. Those changes won't come into play until the Stoke game. So we've been given special dispensation for the first two fixtures against Hull and Sunderland, but there'll be two new interview rooms out the front there. You'll see a lot of changes to the front of house, as it were, the frontage there. But all positive changes that will create a better atmosphere for the working press on a match day here at Loftus Road.
OK.
Can I just ask, what about the goal line technology out there?
Goal line technology's in, 3D, HD, they're all in as well. So
because the requirements for better cabling for the TV nowadays.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we're sitting here right on the line of the goal. So
well, maybe they don't need goal line technology.
We'll just sit here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but goal line technology will be in place as well. So there's numerous changes that will enhance the opportunity for media to provide that that excellent coverage that the Barclays Premier League. I noticed how you really do like throwing that in there, expecting a couple of quid in your Barclays account. Yeah, the Barclays Premier League, obviously, it's a worldwide game, isn't it? And the press play a huge part in that.
But also, again, one other thing, we've got the invisible spray coming in.
Yeah,
we have.
Which will be an interesting one to see how
it's actually called vanishing spray. It's invisible spray.
Well, yeah, vanishing. Yeah.
Sometimes I wish we could spray it on you.
And also looking at other changes as well. There's going to be the new video intro as well. That's coming just before kick-off, and you'll actually that comes just before the players come out. Obviously been using it over the last few years, and it does seem to have an effect of just lifting the fans, and the fans are now aware that the players are about to come out. There'll be a new VT for this coming season, incorporating the goals against Wigan, the goal against Derby County, and the excitement of last season. We've actually got a sneak preview of that coming up right at the end of this show, so stay tuned for that as well.
One thing I will just add is there's going to be a rebranding exercise as well around Loftus Road over the coming months of the season. So full details will be revealed next week on the website. But chance for fans, like they did with the We Are Together hashtag campaign, chance for fans to see their quotes, their feelings about what this place means to them in and around the stadium, to create that family experience, that
so
family
vibe. Appearing on the walls.
Yeah, it's going to be a big revamp in areas that do need a little bit of touching up. The smoking area at the back of the loft, for example, where that awful grey wall is,
right.
That'll all be vamped up, and it'll look good. It'll look good, but that's all to come over the coming months.
Okay, and we want to know your starting 11. We've now got the player playing just behind the front two in the number 10 role, if you like. Have we got a selection?
Yeah, it's a man that we've heard from already on tonight's show, Junior Hoilett.
Yeah. Junior Hoilett gets the nod. So now we just need to know. We know who plays behind the front two. Now we want to know who plays as the two strikers up front. Who would you have as your two strikers? Tweet us using the hashtag LCI for your starting 11 this coming Saturday.
Interestingly, a lot of people are saying Brian should just stick to what he does best and leave the commentary to somebody else. Even calls to bring back Jim Frayling.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I think that was from Jay Frayling.
And that is the next question. Competition. Tweet us using the hashtag LCI. What does Brian do best? Tweet us using hashtag LCI.
Leave the ground at the end of the show,
we were speaking with Junior Hoilett earlier. He's made your selection. Also, to win a white shirt, it's the QPR third kit. We've got a competition running as well. Tweet us using hashtag LCI. What was the exact minute and second the ball hit the back of the net when Bobby Zamora scored against Derby County? And that shirt will be signed by a player of your choice as well. With regards to Charlie Austin, he was busy doing interviews today, looking ahead to the game against Hull. Obviously, ironic that it's against Hull City. He's making his Premier League debut. He nearly joined Hull, obviously, 12 months ago, but failed a medical, and certainly their loss was our gain. He scored 20 goals and helped us get into the top flight. It'll be very interesting to see how Charlie handles this step up. He's handled every step up with consummate ease. This is the biggest.
Yeah, he'd been in and around him today, but you wouldn't think he was just about to make his Premier League bow. Just typical Charlie, laughing, joking, great character, great bloke. He's just looking forward to it. It's like a kid in the sweet shop. You know,
I think he'll make the transition.
Kid on Christmas Eve. He's just genuinely excited.
He'll make it quite easily because he's a goal scorer. He's a natural goal scorer.
You look at players like Ricky Lambert, Vardy. There was one other as well we were talking about today that have all played in non-league and are now Premier League players. So all eyes will be on him to see how he does. But it's remarkable story. 6 years ago he was laying bricks for a living.
It's amazing.
And now he's
about to make his Premier League debut. Interestingly, in League One he made 38 appearances and scored 20 goals before moving into the Championship. He's made 116 appearances in the Championship and scored 60 goals. So in League One, in the Championship, he's always averaged more than 1 in 2. And I'll tell you what, if he can continue that into the Premier League, we'll be a very happy football club indeed. How crucial is a good start this coming Saturday? We've had 2 horrific starts in the Premier League. 0-4, 0-5. How crucial is a good start?
Huge for me. In those opening 4 games, we talked about them earlier. They're going to be difficult games, but you need to be winning a couple of your opening 4 or 5 games, really. Easier said than done. Don't get me wrong, but it's paramount for me that we get off to not a flyer as such, but we get a win on the board as soon as possible.
What would you take from the first 6 games, Brian?
Well, you ask me, and you know my
18
feeling.
points,
yeah, but we're not going to. But we have to win our home games. We have to make sure we win or get something out of our home games.
And then try and pick something up on the road.
Pick up something on the road. So you're saying in our first 6 games, let's look at our first 4 games first. Let's just get August and out of the way. I'd like to see us have at least 5 points.
5 points.
Yeah.
5 points from 12 when you consider you're going to Old Trafford and White Hart Lane. Yeah, you'd probably take that. I think if you can average around that for the remainder of the season, you'll be just about right.
I suppose your initial target is a point a game, isn't it? You want to get slightly better than that to reach your
I'm pleased that we're getting Spurs and Man United early on in the season. because they haven't got time to settle into.
Yeah, and both got new managers.
That's right. So
a lot of changes.
You know, that's the time you want to go.
Only going to get stronger as the season goes
very
on.
much so.
Our last 2 years in the Premier League.
Well,
you say that. Our first 6 games in 2011-12 after winning promotion. From our first 6 games, we picked up 8 points.
Wolves away, remember that one?
Which, yeah,
you told me to get me passport ready after that one because you thought we were going into Europe. Probably one of the more ridiculous things you've said, and you do say a lot of ridiculous things on a daily basis.
That was one of the worst.
But yeah, it was, and that second season in the Premier League was just the stuff of
the second season from 6 games, we had 2 points.
Yes.
People were saying to Harry today, weren't they, about your last experience in the Premier League, you went down, and he was quick to say, well, hang on, it wasn't my team. When I came in, 15 however many games,
it was the 18th game before we won, and it was against Fulham. It was 18 games before.
And that just gives you an absolute. Well, the thing is, an absolute mountain.
I mean, there are prime examples. I mean, Blackpool probably been the best of. You can make a great start and still ultimately go down, but it definitely, in my opinion, it does shape your season. Like you say. The season we went down, we'd gone 12 games picking up 4 points before there was obviously a managerial change, and our season had been shaped by the first 8 or 10 games. People often say, don't look at the league table until you're 10 games in. If you're 10 games in and you haven't won a game or you picked up very few points, the die is set a little bit, and you've got a real battle on your hands.
Interestingly, a lot of people within the game, pundits, journalists, are predicting us to have a really good season. They're talking about anything between 12th and 15th, which is hugely encouraging from the outside.
Yeah.
Whether or not that bears fruit remains to be seen, but certainly people within the game, people are talking about surprise packages for the season. We are getting mentioned.
And of course, but again, we've got to start off. We've got the advantage. We're at home first game of the season, but we've had that. We've had that the last 2 occasions in the Premier League.
It hasn't quite worked out.
Hasn't quite worked out. We've got to make it work out.
I think a lot of people before that game against Swansea, you'd have put a lot of people saying I put my house on.
Absolutely right.
Everyone's banker for the opening weekend.
Tony Vincenzo infamously said, "We'll be top of the league by 5 o'clock, and I'll be setting the Premier League table as my desktop saver." And we were actually bottom of the league.
If he'd have flipped it the other way around, we would have been.
Yeah, we would have been right.
A lot of people are saying, well, not a lot of people. Stephen Cockrell, what does Brian do best? Obviously, star jumps, because I won a signed Charlie Austin shirt last year, and he did that for Brian's challenge.
There you go. You were after Stephen with those crazy amount of star jumps.
Loads of correct answers on the competition, by the way.
Okay, and we have got a winner of our competition. This person has won. And this was just handed me, by the way. I haven't had this in my hand since the start of the show. Many congratulations to, firstly, the question, what was the exact minute and second the ball hit the back of the net when Bobby Zamora scored against Derby County? The answer was 89 minutes and 49 seconds. And Josh Johnson, congratulations to you at JoshQPR Johnson. You gave the correct answer along with many others. You have won a QPR third kit signed by a player of your choice. So if you tweet at AdamHolmer86, and we will organise for that to be sent out to you. So many congratulations to Josh Johnson. Also on to the starting 11, we have a starting lineup.
Everybody, 100% Austin and Remy. No surprise there.
Charlie Austin and Loic Remy up top. So let's go through the starting 11. Right from the back, in goal, Rob Green. Back 3 of Nedemanua, Rio Ferdinand, Stephen Corker. Right wing back, Mauricio Isla. Left wing back, Armand Traore. Holding midfielders, Joey Barton and Ali Fowlin. Junior Hoilett playing in the hole. And up front, Charlie Austin and Loic Remy. That is the 11
very impressive
by our London calling viewers. It'd be interesting to see how close you are to the starting lineup. Based on memory from the Wigan and Derby County, you have 0 out of 2 as a record so far. So let's see if you fare better for Saturday's opener against Hull City. We'll be signing off with, as I say, a sneak preview to the VT that's going to be shown on the big screen on Saturday just before the players come out, as we prepare for our return to the Barclays Premier League. You've been watching London Calling in this all-new fantastic set, courtesy of BT Sport. Thanks for watching, brought to you in association with Equate. We'll be back same time, same place, next Thursday.